In the early 90s, at the age of Mario, Jazz Jackrabbit and Sonic, there was a new type of game that was coming out. In 1992, as far as I remember, there was a fighting game that looked really nice in the arcades, and it was called Street Fighter. Now, I did not play this game until a bit later. However, what I did play extensively was the game that came out a year later, and that was Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat was actually quite a very new experience because of the gore, because of the blood, but also because of the simple to pick up gameplay, cool super moves, and fatalities that you could never forget. So, which games did I play in the 90s? First I played Mortal Kombat 1 for DOS and on Game Boy. On Game Boy it really sucked, I don't really know why, but I remember I did not enjoy it at all. Mortal Kombat 2, which again for DOS, which I thought at the time was really the coolest game I have ever played. And alongside it came out a movie. As far as I remember, it was mainly about the events of Mortal Kombat 1, but it was quite fantastic, and I remember that, it's still a guilty pleasure of mine sometimes watching some highlights, but I did not watch the whole movie ever again. Obviously also doing some research for this video, I rewatched some scenes, so I still enjoy it, I must admit. Then came out Mortal Kombat 3, which was again something quite new for me at the time, because I remember it was much faster, you could run, and there were these really crazy combos, you could hit through people through walls, but there was one thing I did not really enjoy, and that was Scorpion was missing. And I remember thinking, WTF, what is going on here? And luckily, I think a year later or so, Mortal Kombat Trilogy came out with the same mechanics, basically almost the same mechanics as Mortal Kombat 3. Looked also quite similar, but luckily with the entire rooster for Mortal Kombat 1, 2 and 3. At the end of the 90s, I remember I played Mortal Kombat 4, the first 3D Mortal Kombat that came out. And the first thing I was thinking when I opened it was like, there were so many characters I didn't know, and I was really not that interested. I was like, who are these guys and where are the guys I want to play with? Okay, there were some characters that obviously came back, but in general I did not have the same amount of interest than for the others. And as far as I remember, so the gameplay was just not as good. It was really no point putting it in the 3D plane and stepping away from the projectiles and stuff. That was really not working for me. And I remember they also tried to introduce weapons like Soul Calibur, and that did not work at all in that game. So to be honest, at that moment I thought, okay, Mortal Kombat is done. So I actually did not play it for over a decade, and I was not following at all the series. So when I heard that at the height of the 7th generation Mortal Kombat 9 would come out, only titled as Mortal Kombat, but nevertheless I was like, wow, it's the 9th episode, what happened to 5 to 8? I missed the whole thing. And to be honest, despite the positive reviews of IGN, of Angry Joe, of Destructoid, I was quite hesitant picking it up, and I did not pick it up at the beginning. However, a couple of months later I saw the demo on PlayStation 3, and so I downloaded it, and actually I quite enjoyed it. I thought, wow, this is actually not bad, this is actually quite good, solid gameplay, easy to pick up again. I found always Street Fighter 4 a bit too technical for me, and this was a bit easier, much more easier to pick up. And at that moment I actually got a gaming PC, so I decided to purchase it on Steam, on a Steam sale, and I remember I paid for it like around 25 euro, it was totally worth it, I must say it already. So what is Mortal Kombat 9 about? Well, first let's start with the story mode, because it has a great story mode. It's one of those cheesy B-movie flicks with a good length. It took me around 7-8 hours to finish it, I don't really know, but it was something like, there's some stupid elements in it, some characters are sometimes fighting when it's totally pointless, like for example, I remember Jade gets attacked by Smoke and they let Milena flee for no reason, just because they cannot speak to each other or whatever, but it's not a big deal. I was also disappointed to not see more of the Cyber Initiative, because as far as I remember, you win with Cyrax, and then the Cyber Initiative still happens for him also, and didn't really make sense at the time. For such a big game, those are very minor issues in terms of story mode. I enjoyed it, and I was really positively surprised about the whole story mode. What is good in this game, there is also many other options. So there's challenge towers, I didn't really enjoy it, but I'm not gonna complain about extra content. There's a tag tournament, so that you can go and tag ladder with 2 players or with 1 player, but you can switch out. So I actually managed to make my favorite Scorpion Sub-Zero and Smoke Ermac combo and finish the game with them, so I really enjoy that. There's tons of unlockables. For me these were a bit pointless, but hey, if you enjoy fatalities and you don't know how to use Google, I guess it's useful, and there's some nice art there, but it's really not my cup of tea. Then what is really nice in this game is the local play, so you can play with up to 4 players locally. I sometimes, when have some people over and they wanna play some kind of fighting game, it often comes up, then we often play Mortal Kombat, and it's a great option. It runs very smoothly and it's very easy. On the keyboard it's not as much fun, but luckily I have an Xbox 360 controller, so only one of us has to smash the keyboard. In general, what is also nice is the number of characters, so as far as I know there's 27 characters or so in the game, and they are very nice. Actually, they cover all the characters that I remember, that I enjoy. They also added some from Mortal Kombat 4, that's actually the good ones, so the one that I really enjoyed, and the whole game just looks very good. The selection of characters is really nice. They are varied. I enjoy playing almost all of them, and they're also quite different. So when I play quite differently, in different style. I use different type of attacks. I'm not very good at the game, I must say that, but nevertheless I must say that I really try to play diverse, or I'm forced to play diversely depending on which character I'm playing. Obviously because of that there is some counter picks from one to the other, but this is really a bit more for the experts. I don't really have this issue. So overall it's good. The controls are smooth and easy to pick up. It's really easy to execute those special moves. The fatalities, I was never that big on the fatalities. I sometimes try it, but it's really not my thing, so I don't really know how difficult they are to execute in general. What I enjoy also that they added some complexity to the gameplay, so it's not only special moves and fatalities, but they actually added a new special meter with which you can either make a stronger attack, you can break combos, and you can do the new X-ray attacks. The X-ray attacks are just mighty attacks that generally, if you manage to land them, then you cause around 30-35% damage in the enemy, so it's basically a third of their health meter is just gone. So, and yeah, these are, I would say that the mechanics in this game are overall very enjoyable. The gameplay is very good, so I would say that this part of the game is really excellent, and I have really a lot of fun playing it. The graphics are actually also quite nice. The backgrounds are fantastic, the fighters look all amazing, you can see the injuries on the fighters when they get injured, so it's also very nice. However, one thing that I did not like that much in the graphics is actually some of the characters hit the uncanny valley, so such as Liu Kang, Johnny Cage and Sonya especially, and it is a bit disturbing and it's a bit disappointing because all the other character models, like for example Scorpion, Sub-Zero, even Smoke, etc., they all look really amazing, so it's a bit disappointing that actually they did not manage to get the 3 protagonists right, but hey, it's only minor, and while you're fighting it's actually not disturbing. What I also enjoyed it is actually a very broad selection of very diverse stages, so I don't know how many stages there are, but while playing I never feel like, oh yeah, I'm every time here. No, there's just so many, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't even remember that existed, or sometimes I load the game a couple of months later and I'm like, oh yeah, that exists also. Sounds are quite good, so well, it's a fighting game, so there's not much. There's and some bones breaking, and all those sounds are well done. It's not spectacular, but it suits the game well. It's definitely not big, and the music hits, I think, the right notes. It's not a spectacular soundtrack, but it's not the best of all gaming, but it's good. It really hits the right notes at the right moments, and it suits well the fighting game overall. So, weaknesses of this game. So, the weaknesses are the aforementioned uncanny valley of some of the characters. I really prefer the sprite models of actually Liu Kang, Johnny Cage and Sonya in Mortal Kombat 3, even in Mortal Kombat 2, although Sonya you could only see in the backgrounds. But yeah, as I said before, the other characters actually look great. There's some balance issues. Some characters I found much harder to play than others. So some characters that don't have quick combo attacks, I found that they were difficult to play and they were a bit more static, but hey, maybe that's just me sucking, so that's also possible. Then the next thing that I thought really that I didn't enjoy in this game was the fight with Shao Kahn. It was really just annoying. He's just spamming a bunch of long distance attacks. I really dare to say that that fight really sucks, and the way I beat it, because I didn't actually play it on the easiest difficulty, I played it through the first time on hard or on medium, I'm not sure, I think it was medium, and the only way I managed to actually beat him, especially the second time, was also spamming attacks. So I was just like him, I was doing the same thing and dodging his attacks and hoping that I would win, and eventually I won. I also found it a bit disappointing that Goro, Kintaro and Shao Kahn are not playable. They could have given, maybe, I understand that they are not playable online, and I also understand that they are not playable on ladder, that I totally understand, but they could have at least on one-on-one fights made them playable, because it would have been especially fun. Goro is such a classic character that everybody wants to play. So overall, would I recommend this game? Yeah, I would definitely recommend this game. I think this is a very, very good game. It's really one of the best fighting games I have ever played. But as I said, I suck at fighting games, so for me, if it's not easy to execute at least the basic moves, I in general don't tend to enjoy them as much. So sorry, Street Fighter 4. This is definitely one of those games that can sell systems, and it's absolutely outstanding. And it was really one of the highlights for me and one of the most positive surprises of this past generation, of the 7th generation. So I give it a 9.5 outstanding rating.